What's up, GG603, owner and operator of TSW Wrestling, and as we all know, it is a monumental week here in TSW as we're coming up to Slammiversary, live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, live in game, I'm still here in Florida, but I digress. Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, Slammiversary, the 1-year anniversary over on YouTube. Well, here on YouTube for Too Sweet Wrestling, and we have a loaded show, not only Thursday, but today as well. Is not only going to break down that pay-per-view card, we'll preview what we're going to get into, but also go through the power rankings. Not much of a change from last week, but we got to show you guys nonetheless. So let's dive on into the projected match card. Won't give you full match order. We'll bounce around the card just a little bit, but real quick, of course, got a little hydrational energy before we dive into this thing. One moment. Oh, yeah. Go JG603, baby. Let's have on it. One match will tell you where it's going to be. It's the show opener, of course. For a big show like this, we got to start with a 20-man Rumble. The winner will get a shot at Yunk later in the evening, but they won't be alone in that shot against Yunk, because Yunk, he's earned it, man. 30, 31, 32-0, 31 and 32-0 right now. 32-0 right now. Had to do the math. Quick math. He's earned himself some tough title defense. Of course, last pay-per-view was Elimination Chamber. This time around, the Gauntlet returns, as Yunk is going to be defending against the Gauntlet, or the Rumble winner, as well as Rox, who defeated Rowdy, Savart, or Shrades, I suppose, who got the win over Adam, and of course, Khan, who managed to defeat the BMI champion Prodigy this last week. That's going to be a loaded gauntlet match, ladies and gentlemen. But speaking of Khan, speaking of the BMI championship, let's dive on in there. It's going to be a Prodigy versus his former tag partner, Joker PhD. The doctor is in. He'll see you, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be an interesting one. In the past, Joker has had a bit of an edge against Prodigy, but Prod has been on a hot streak. Up until this last week, losing to Khan, has been on a hot streak. Been a good year for XHG Prodigy here in TSW, but we're getting word that this might just be in Joker's neck of the woods. And we're not talking Cleveland, Ohio. They're both Ohio. But we're talking the Funhouse match. That is the current rumor. We're not certain if this is the case, but if that is the case, I'm a little nervous for a guy Prodigy, not only for the championship, but his well-being, truly. I mean, injuries be damn truly a scary part of this business. It truly is. But few things scarier right now than the Dargantics family, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, Dargantics reigning defending trios champions, the undefeated Night Owl, alongside their leader Dargan and Pat Matators, who did take a tough loss this week against LeBron. So LeBron, the chosen one's Animal, and Mr. Benjamin, by the way, Mr. Money in the Bank in Animal. And of course, it's a big matchup here. Big matchup, title change hands via ladder match. Can't do that one again. This time around, we got the elimination rules, 3-on-3, no DQ, countouts, all that stuff out the window. That one's going to be a battle for the ages in the trios division. But not the only tag titles on the line. The trios, you know, they are a trio tag, if you will. But all 4 tag titles on the line. Let's break those down, of course. We've got the mixed tag. We're talking the Stonies versus what I'm going to assume is going to be your boy JG, of course, the wonderful Misses, defeated Huggies in that electric underground match. Earns a title match against either the women's tags or the mixed tag. I just assume it's gonna be, of course it's gonna be the hubby, right? You know, say what you know, Miss JG does have some history against Jen and Nugs due to the tag titles, and of course Miss JG formerly tag partner with Jen, but it's your boy. I'm sure that's going to be the case. And then, of course, we just mentioned the women's tag titles. Not sure who they're going to face here in Jen and Nugs. Undefeated as a tag team. Nugs undefeated in TSW overall. Longest women's undefeated streak in TSW history. We're looking at right there for Nuggies. We'll be interested to find out. Sorry, Nuggy, not Nuggies. Nuggies sounds like Huggy, Huggies, and gets very confusing when you just swap a letter out and like, what'd you just say? I don't know what I just said either. But I digress. So that's going to bring us to, of course, the final tag title match on the night, the men's tag championships. One of the main events of the evening on this blockbuster occasion, as it's going to be the Hell in a Cell for the ages. 2 out of 3 falls. 2 heated teams. It's going to be the Founding Fathers versus the Dog Pound. Was going to say one last time, but the Founding Fathers. Will they turn this into a trilogy? There'll be no backup at ringside. No Blue. No Chico. No Do. It'll just be 2 on 2. Did I just Dr. Seuss that? I did, didn't I? Anyways. We talked about the Doctor and Joker. We talked about the Doctor and Dr. Seuss. And you know who else is probably going to need a doctor after this matchup? We're talking the Women's Heavyweight Championship. We're talking Steph versus Emma. Heated rivalry, backstage brawls, torn by security, in the ring, out in the ring. These two cannot get enough of each other, but they've each had their rematch, which means for the last time, we are going to see Steph versus Emma. Who's going to walk out on top? We're going to find out. It's going to be an Iron Woman match. We're going to throw 15, maybe 20 minutes up on that clock. Let them go at it. See who comes out on top. Dominate the division. Will we see 7-time Steph? That's got a nice little ring to it. Or will Emma continue the dominant run that we have seen in 2K25? We're going to find out on pay-per-view. And so many dominant runs really could be coming to an end here, including one that is truly near and dear to my heart for many reasons. And we're talking the Clap Daddy. We're talking the Messiah with the Archangels, DT2 at his side. Got the best of you, boy. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, he's been electric. You know, I'm not a big fan of him, but I know the fans love him. To be fair, the shareholders probably love the guy still. You know, electric in the ring, electric out the ring. Good looking guy, if I do say so myself too. But he's been great. You know, longest combined reign in Cruiserweight Championship history. I gotta give him that. But the inaugural Cruiserweight Champion ain't ready to say goodnight yet, as one last time, speaking of last time ever between 7 and 7, one last time, Swanee's going to try to take that title off of Clap. I'll tell you right now, if Swanee doesn't get the job done, he will not be able to challenge for Clap's Cruiserweight Championship during this title reign again. So there's high stakes for both competitors here. We're going to see how that shakes out at pay-per-view once again, ladies and gentlemen. And as we talk about near and dear to my heart, we talk about the Cruiserweight Championship, but few things do I love in TSW quite like my boy Z-Rock. I love you, Z-Rock! The best there is, the best there ever will be, if I do say so myself. Right now, holding down the fort, former hardcore champion, but reigning defending Universal Champion, will be going against Big Time TS2. Sweet! Of course, Big Time will have Sir at ringside. You better believe Z-Rock will have you, boy. We'll have my guy Kopak holding down the fort. And we'll see how things shake out. Will we see a little best of 3 series? Or will our guy Z-Rock keep taking that title on to greatness? That's a good looking title. I tell you what, it's really good. Beautifully designed. I love that one. I really do. And I tell you what, that does, I believe, unless we missed a match, we could have missed one in here. That brings us to the main event situation, as we're talking Boxie versus the inglorious Mod Snob LBJ. Of course, that will main event the evening for the Heavyweight Championship, but we gotta talk Wall Street before we get there for just a minute here, as earlier in the show, how about this one? One-on-one, as they've each pinned each other, essentially beaten each other, I should say, in matches. It's gonna be Claw versus AJ. Wall Street versus Claw Street. But very specifically, Claw wants this revenge. Claw wants this. Only would AJ take that match if the Intercontinental Championship was on the line. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Intercontinental Championship will be on the line against AJ here. And you gotta think AJ's probably got some backup at ringside and an I have done decent authority. He wins that thing. If AJ takes that thing back to Wall Street, I don't think we're ever seeing that strap again. And I do indeed believe we might just see dollar bills around the waist, but we don't need that. We're hoping our boy Claw can come out on top, but that takes us again to Boxie versus LBJ, the main event of the evening. Who will be at ringside for that? I think that match might maybe give us an idea, because you got to think whoever gets beaten down in that thing might not be available for the main event. We know Vibe was taken out last week. We hear might not be available for this show, which would be a huge blow for Wall Street, huge blow for LBJ as well. We'll see what happens. It's going to be Boxie versus LBJ. Full circle moment. The way it started might just be the way it ends, as this will be in one of the most dangerous, daunting stipulations in wrestling history, as the only way you can win this match is to beat, bloody, and batter your opponent so bad you gotta leave him behind in the back of an ambulance. Yes, indeed. Ambulance match, heavyweight championship on the line, a protected match type and stipulation for a special occasion. Who will be the champion? Who will be locked in the back of that ambulance? And you gotta think, taken out for the foreseeable future? We are gonna find out in the main event of Slammiversary, Las Vegas, baby. 1 year of TSW2 sweet wrestling. And thank you all for being a part of this journey. You know, as always, there wouldn't be this show without you guys. It wouldn't be without me, but without your fan support, your love, your passion for what I'm doing, I wouldn't be doing it. So as always, guys, thank you all so much for being a part of this year one. Cheers to year two. But most importantly, we've got the power rankings. Gonna be pretty straightforward. Gonna kind of fly through these because there's not gonna be really much of a change this week. Plus, we kind of just talked through most people we're gonna be diving into right now. But let's go check it out and let's see what we got. Oh, what do we got? Starting things out, of course, the goodbyes, the thank yous, the honorable, of course, Vibe mentioned taken out, but got to show some love there. Frosty and Swain, great star-making performance against some champions this week. And I tell you what, a little bit of fan support, a little bit of crowd swelling and interest. I think they're skyrocketing up this card here in TSW. We got Swanee, of course, looking to become the second ever three-time Cruiserweight champion, and we've got the Claw. A little bit of revenge this week. Can he continue that against AJ on pay-per-view? Now let's dive on in. Miss JG, of course, will have a title match. We're going to assume it's the mixed tag, but we're going to find out, of course, officially when the pay-per-view rolls around. We've got Joker PhD will be facing Prodigy, of course, we mentioned that. We've got the former trios, possibly first ever two-time. We got Mr. Benjamin and LeBron. LeBron a little bit higher, of course, because he did get the win this week. Speaking of tags, we've got Landmark. We've got Finit to win it. Kind of the same thing, you know, kind of keeping things similar. We've got Animal here, has been kind of trying to cash in, but no official wins or losses in recent weeks, kind of staying pat. Steph looking good in the backstage brawl, kind of just knocking around right there. Does take a one-match winning streak now because of that backstage brawl. That could be a major factor here. We got Big Time TS looking to become the first ever three-time Universal Champion. As we get on to some champions here, we got Mrs. Stoney and Stoney reigning mixed tag, who, it's gonna be a boy. We've got Pat Matators, who did take a loss, so he's gonna be separated a little bit as a champion, because we're gonna throw Boxie up a little bit higher. Always changing from his ring gear to his dapper attire. You're looking good as always, sir. Always the best. We got Dargan and Night Owl, of course. Trios champions we mentioned got split a little bit there, ever so slightly, because Pat took a loss and Boxie's been hot right now. He's hot right now. So hot. Hansel. And now the top 10, where it really matters, and it really didn't change much either. We've got Emma Rose here, of course, reigning defending women's champion. It doesn't show right there because the Money in the Bank got put back official. It doesn't Doesn't really matter. Again, you don't have 8 titles. You got 10, etc., etc. 11 Money in the Bank. Anywho, we've got Raw Dog and Mecha Monster here, moving up and up and up and up on in. We're not gonna really count the Brawl 4 against Raw, by the way. We got my boy Z-Rock. I love you, Z-Rock. But got to swap them. Prod took a loss this week. Prod did take a loss. I could even argue maybe. I could probably argue that. I could argue the 9 spot. But love you, Z-Rock. Good looking fucking title, man. We got Jen here. Jen and Nuggie undefeated as the women's tag team champions, and Nuggie undefeated in the ring overall. Curious to see who steps up and answers there, of course, as we got another mixed tag, but we're not quite sure what's going to happen with the women's tag title. And finally, the top 3. LBJ's the 3 spot. You know, and we'll talk about them all, but it's going to be Clap. It's got to be Yunk. Yeah, you can't change Yunk and Clap. They've been so good. Clap can't pass Yunk because Yunk's just he's fucking Yunk. And LB's looking good right now. I could maybe even argue Nuggie and Jen past LB. I'll be honest with you. But I don't know for how much longer for his LBJ main event of Slammiversary against Boxie. Will Boxie become the first ever 2-time World Heavyweight Champion of TSW history? Will Clap lose that record-setting combined cruiserweight reign, and will we see the second ever 3-time cruiserweight champion in Swanicus, as we're expecting them to descend to the heavens in a TLC matchup? Can't wait for that. And Yunk. The gauntlet awaits. Destiny awaits. Will we see a 33-0, or will we see the one behind the 32-1 at this point? It's anybody's guess. This man has been unstoppable, but you never knew who's gonna win on any given Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's all we have for you today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, note about being activated, all that good stuff. Y'all been best, y'all been too sweet. I'll catch you next time. Woo! Appreciate you. Bye!